Hi, I'm Joel Sneakloff, Regional Water Resource Specialist for Colorado State University Water Center and Extension. And today we're going to talk about irrigation management of cowpeas, primarily black-eyed peas. Here you can see we have a small-scale experiment. We were looking at irrigation management, water use, timing of water needs of cowpeas, black-eyed peas, in this experiment from dry land to full irrigation management. The primary results we see are that cowpeas do maximize yield at max ET, where we're not water stressing it, but the secondary aspect here is that some stress does not impact yield. Where we're seeing where we target water towards the reproductive stage, no additional irrigation during the vegetative, and 2 inches per week during a 4-week period at beginning of reproductive growth stage through the month of August. We're finding out that we are maximizing yields as well, but we're reducing water use by 20% on irrigation and about 15% on ET, while still maximizing yields. Irrigation wise is also with dry land production in this system that we're seeing. ETs are ranging between 8 to 10 inches during the growing season, and we're still coming up with economic yields that we can utilize for dry land producers. So we have a crop here that we can potentially look at as a dry land, limited irrigation, or a full irrigated management practice to reduce water use as compared to corn. Corn, which is our primary irrigated crop in northeast Colorado, uses between 23 and 24 inches of water use through ET. Dry beans, these cowpeas, maximized at about 15 inches of ET. So we have almost a 1/3 saving compared to corn in this system. So we're going to continue this kind of work, looking at alternative crops for deficit irrigation, limited water situations that we're starting to see in the Ogallala region because of declines in the aquifer system, and how we can fit crops like this into a system while also maintaining some corn acres within the system. So cowpeas look very similar to pintos and that in their growing structure and how they produce. What we see here is a fully irrigated cowpea, which is past harvest time period, but we have a main stem which suckers off into multiple stems, and then we have what we see here where the pods are on is what we call a peduncle, which is the flowering stem nodes of the plant. And the cowpeas put on anywhere from 1 to 4 pods per peduncle potential, and we can have upwards of about 9 seeds per pod. And what we look at is the podding, and what we're looking at is how many pods per plant we can maintain and how many seeds per pod we can hold during a reproductive time period without water stress. And cowpeas, as you can see, look just like a pinto, but different color. They have a little black surface there in the middle, and then they're creamy white. So they have different uses, and this is a primary crop for southern uses of Happy New Year's Eve, a good year. It's also a crop that came from sub-Saharan Africa. So that's why we're looking at it, because of potential drought stress tolerance. Because sub-Saharan Africa is very dry at times, and it is one of the primary bean pulse crops that they have in that region.
Hi, my name is Sally Jones Diamond. I am the Crops Testing Program Director at Colorado State University. Today I'm standing in what's left of our Dryland Cowpea variety trial. We've already harvested the trial and we're working on data yield results right now, but I wanted to just talk about the Dryland variety trial, the purpose of it, and how it will be useful to Colorado farmers and the bean industry. The purpose of the Dryland variety trial for the cowpeas is to not only compare yield of varieties from a bunch of different regions from all over the world. Many of them are from Africa, some of them are from the Caribbean, some of them have been bred in the United States. And so we tested 19 different varieties here at the Akron site this year, and we're looking at things like plant uprightness, how far off the ground the pods are to allow for direct harvesting instead of swathing and then harvesting with a pickup head on a combine. We're looking at adaptability in terms of plant maturity, since we are a little bit higher elevation in northeast Colorado in our latitude, we need a little bit shorter season varieties. And also just how the plants do under very limited water conditions. We usually have less than 16 inches of rainfall annually here, and this has the potential to be a great dryland crop for northeast Colorado, especially since there's already a market for cowpeas in northeast Colorado, and we have industry support to expand acres to produce more cowpeas, which would be very beneficial. And right now there are only less than 5 varieties that are grown commercially for cowpeas, and so by testing a whole bunch of different varieties from different origins, we're hoping to expand the number of varieties that will be available for farmers to plant, so that they can plant higher yielding varieties that are more adapted to our growing region. These trials were funded by a grant from the Colorado Department of Ag. And so at the end of the growing season, after we have all the harvest data compiled, we will publish the results of not only this trial, but the trial that Joel Sneekloth discussed earlier with the different irrigation regimes. Those will be published in an Ag Experiment Station technical report through CSU here in another month or so, and that report will be available on csucrops.com. which is where my program publishes all of our trial results.
Hi, I'm Don Pope with Farmer Bean, and we're out here just south of Otis, Colorado, and we're looking at a black-eyed pea field, which is a growing crop both in acres and in interest in regions like eastern Colorado, where we are limited on rainfall and more limited on our irrigation capabilities. And for good reason. This crop, this field that we're standing in right now, will probably produce somewhere around 2,500 pounds an acre of black-eyed peas, and that will be produced with about 6 inches worth of irrigation water. So it turns out to be a very profitable crop for these farmers out here in eastern Colorado and in other regions with dry, arid environments. This plant that I'm holding here, you might be able to see our ground levels right here, and all of these pods are a good 10 to 12 inches off the ground. And so this is a crop that's it's very doable to harvest directly with a flex head if we desiccate this plant, which we normally have to desiccate this crop because it will continue to grow into the fall. And so we typically wait until we get about 80-90% of our pods that'll be tan colored like this one, and then we'll come in and we can desiccate this crop and harvest it directly, or we can swath this crop down and use a pickup head and harvest it that way, which typically leads to better quality if we swath it and pick it up. But for guys that don't have that kind of equipment, they can definitely harvest this crop directly. So I'm going to let Ryan Erickson talk more about the marketing, the pricing, and where this crop gets utilized a lot as a food product. It is called a black-eyed pea or a cowpea, but it is technically an edible bean plant, and so I'll let Ryan explain where we utilize this crop in our food source. So,
thanks, Don. I'm Ryan Erickson with Farmer Bean and Seed here in Yuma, Colorado. As Don mentioned, we're just outside of Yuma in Otis looking at black-eyed peas. The marketability for the Colorado bean grower is very good for this. There's a lot of opportunities for us to market these. We'll probably never raise enough in the United States to be able to satisfy the domestic demand, but there are some export opportunities. Domestic demand would be for the New Year's holiday season. The export possibilities for this are pretty far and wide. We import from South America and Bolivia, so some of our product will wind up down there at certain seasons. It's very big in the Caribbean, which is a market that's easily reachable here in Colorado through the Port of Houston. We can also export them out of the Port of Long Beach and go to Japan, which there's a 12-month market there. The United States is a great food source for the world, and Colorado is proud to be able to support that through both dryland and irrigated black-eyed pea production.